Hello and welcome to BQ Prime. You're joining us on this special broadcast where we are discussing State Bank of India's second quarter results with the chairman, Dinesh Khara. Mr. Khara, firstly, welcome to this conversation. I want to ask you this profit growth about 8%. Looks a little on the humble side, but I wanted to get a sense from you what the overall quarter looked like for State Bank.
No, actually, this kind of a profit growth of 8% has to be seen in the context that this quarter we have provided for about increased wage also because the settlement is in process. So almost about 5,900 crore has been provided for one-offs like this.
Yeah.
So one is of course the wage increase. The second is the MTM gain is much lower, is about 200 odd crores only.
Okay.
So I think if we reckon both these numbers, it is almost about 6,000 odd crores.
Okay.
So on a 14,330 crore, if you load another 6,000 crore, it is actually a 20,330 crore.
Correct.
Then the number should not be looking as humble as you probably described to start with.
Okay, so fair enough. I wanted to take a look at the advances growth side of the story. So you've shown strong growth on your retail, SMEs looking decent as well. Corporate at 6%. Wanted to get a sense of what that, why that number is coming in and what you expect for the rest of the year.
Now, corporates always have got multiple options to fund. And I think before we get into what is really why 6.61, I must also give you a color. Almost about 4.77 trillion is the number which we have in terms of almost about 1.4 trillion where we have to do the disbursements.
Okay.
And also here I would like to mention that the unavailed term loan limits have, as compared to last quarter, it has improved by about another 100 basis point. So which means that people have started availing the term loans which were sanctioned in the past. That is one. Secondly, when it comes to our proposals which are under consideration, it is as high as about 4.4 trillion. So we continue to see a decent pipeline of the proposals.
Okay.
But normally it so happens that in the corporate credit, there are lag between the sanction and the availment, and even when the availment starts, even that is also phased out. So I think we are all aware that the whole cycle got disrupted during COVID,
right?
And post COVID, it's a recreation of the whole cycle which is happening. But so long as we have got a decent pipeline of the proposals, we feel that there is enough interest as far as the corporates are concerned, and eventually it will show up in the numbers also in due course.
Okay. Since this is a bit of a flavor of the season question, but there's a lot of talk about unsecured credit once again, and it's primarily stems from the RBI governor mentioning it during the policy speech. Any concerns at all on your book or overall in the economy as well?
I think as far as we are concerned, our unsecured book I have mentioned in the past, and I will maintain my stand. Our unsecured book is actually better than the secured.
Okay.
If we really look at it, our gross NPA in the unsecured book is just about 0.69%. And when we look at the kind of the entities or the customers whom we are offering the unsecured book, is almost about 84% are the one who are either government employees or in fact, I would say that 94% are the one which are either government employees, para-government or paramilitary or state government or public sector entities. That is the kind of a composition which is there, and they are maintaining the salary accounts with us. So the remaining one is the one which is lent to those who are availing the corporate salary package under the arrangement with various well-rated corporates. So they don't have a challenge of getting the salary. So I think we hardly see any kind of a challenge on this unsecured book. But what you mentioned in terms of Honorable RBI Governor's statement, yes, of course, there are some concerns because when we have seen that some of the other entities, they are getting into lending to customers who are NTB and who have got challenge in terms of their credit scores. So actually, this is one such area which, if at all one has to tread into this path, then one should be very clear in its mind that what kind of a risk they should underwrite. They should have an appetite to handle that risk. So I think as far as we are concerned, we have no challenge. We are very mindful in terms of the risk which we are underwriting when we are lending for the unsecured credit, and we don't have any concern relating to the quality of this unsecured book.
Earlier, when you were addressing the press, you mentioned something about the current account side of the story, and that there has been some change in behavior in the current account portfolio. If you could just take us through what that is, sir.
Yeah, actually, when it comes to CASA, we have seen that, you would have seen that across the industry, there is a trend of the CASA getting reduced.
Right.
Some of our competitors have witnessed the reduction in CASA as high as about 600 to 700 basis points.
Yeah.
As compared to that, we have seen reduction to the extent of 275 basis points.
Right.
And that is also, I would also like to mention that when it comes to the CA and SA, our focus is now on CA.
Okay.
Earlier, we used to depend upon the government accounts, but of late, for more than a year, we have seen that the government is funding these accounts just in time, and which hardly leaves any float in the system.
Yeah.
So that is the reason why almost about 6 months back, we started building up our capability in terms of serving the trade commerce industry. And today we have got a situation where we are growing in that particular segment almost at about 8 to 9%.
Okay.
Whereas our competitors are growing at much lower pace, and some of them are degrowing too. So I think eventually it will help us in building up a much better quality of the CASA. And this is what our effort and endeavor is, that we should offer the transaction banking solution. We have already identified the potential markets in the country, and we have significantly ramped up our capability to serve such customers and shore up our CA component of the CASA.
Understood, sir. Thank you so much for taking us through these numbers and details. Pleasure talking to you, sir. Do keep watching BQ Prime for further news and updates.
Thank you. Thank you very much.